These Southern women build businesses,
1 hour in, Lala.
families, and legacy.
When it comes to canvas, my first product was literally made in my kitchen. So to be where we are today is just so mind-blowing to me.
I am Nigerian-born content creator. I've grown an audience of close to 400,000. Oh, I love this view.
It is 2.6.
Oh, that's a steal.
That's a steal.
When you're doing smiling pictures, you want to laugh. I have helped kids get into commercials, movies, television, print. We do it all.
My name is Amber Jones. I'm the current CFO of Canvas Beauty. I'm a boss, my business runs itself, and I can be a great wife and mother.
God, I pray for my sister right now, Lord God.
I feel chosen to bring women together because it allowed for me to serve. In Birmingham, friendship is the real power. To the collective.
Hello, Lexa Parker. This is Crystal Jordan, and I am honored to be here. First of all, with the very beautiful Stormi Steele. Thank you so much for inviting us into your home today.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited and I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Well, we're grateful to be here. First of all, this estate is absolutely beautiful. It, to me, is like the epitome of what a Southern belle would come home to. How did you find this? How did you find this property, and how did you like come up with the ambiance that you have here? Because it's absolutely lovely.
Thank you. I just love nature. I grew up in the heart of the country, a little small town called DeKalb, Mississippi.
Okay.
No stoplights, so I'm used to being surrounded by nature and land, and I always feel at peace. So one night in 2020, I used to always like scroll, look at properties, and we saw this one. And then like my soul was like, no, this has to be my house. Like I want to be away, like I love the land. I love like just feeling like I'm in an oasis, and that's what this does for me.
It definitely does. I feel like there's a lot of personal touches of yours here. First of all, I didn't know that you were also, aside from being an entrepreneur, obviously wife, mother, reality TV star, you're also an artist, and you've done a lot of the pictures of your family here. How do you find time to do art in the midst of Canvas and everything else you have going on?
So my brand Canvas Beauty was inspired from my art school background. So a lot of people know my story, know that I ended up being a college dropout. I had 24 credit hours left with a 3.7 GPA. I was getting a BFA in painting, and I was minoring in photography. And for me, like, I just always had a natural call for like art. Classically trained, I really love painting as my favorite form of my medium. And when it comes to like finding the time to do it, I honestly do it for my business now.
Okay.
I never really sit still to paint like I used to, but that's one of my things that I aspire to do within the next few years is just focus more on my art. Actually have a gallery showcasing one day.
Yeah.
Well, my dreams.
Your home is like a gallery here because there's so many pieces, but it's interesting because usually people that are very artistic do not always have that business acumen. It's hard to usually find the two skill sets in one person. So how do you think you kind of balance that artistic side and then also being just like a shrewd businesswoman?
So I guess because I've never had a prerequisite to like what business was, and it was always about me creating and like being in flow and feeling good. I think when you do that as an entrepreneur, you focus on creating, you focus on solving problems, and you focus on expressing yourself that way, like it kind of becomes easy to marry the two. And so for me, I look at entrepreneurship like a big creation, like you waking up and bringing your visions to life and enjoying the process. So I just look at being an entrepreneur as my way of like making art that other people get to experience.
I've never heard that before from a business person before. That's interesting. What has been your biggest challenge in your entrepreneurship journey?
Learning in real time and not necessarily always having that bird's eye view. I want to know people. I'm able to like bring my ideas to life very quickly, even if I don't know how to build the foundation of the house. I know what I want my house to look like, and somehow I can get the damn house up. But in not knowing all the details about having the perfect structure and foundation, I've had a lot of growing pains that have That's helped me actually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, you don't want to have growing pains to learn, but some people learn the best and go their farthest through that. And I think that's just been my journey. And I think if God wanted me to learn any other way, I would have.
Yeah. You know, we are excited. This is for National Women's History Month. And as you mentioned, a lot of, specifically women of color, do not necessarily have a blueprint in front of them. Like we're, you know, learning in real time as you go. What are some of the things that you hope to be able to like seed into the next generation? So some of them may have, you know, they can look at a Stormi and say, okay, I learned from this. I learned this from her. And so their journey can be a lot different, you know, moving forward.
If I could like teach anybody anything, or if they can learn anything from my journey, it would be to know that ebbs and flows is all a part of the process. There's a saying that says, when you go down, it's that momentum that you need to like go back up further. You get there faster doing like this than you do in a straight line.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in business, they always think about the things that they don't have. And I'm very big on, if you really want something, if you really have a vision and it's in your spirit, you got to learn how to be resourceful.
Yeah.
You don't always have to have a lot of resources. I started my business with like $200 to my name, but I made my first round of product and I kept flipping it and I kept being creative. I didn't think, oh, I don't have this so I can't. I always thought, I have this so I can. And I think if people could look at bringing their visions and their dreams to life from that capacity, like they'll be able to do anything, because nothing will truly ever hold them back, because all they'll see is opportunity.
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot, you know, from that. That sounds amazing, but I know for a lot of women, it's difficult to think that I can achieve the entire package, right? So being a wife, just before we even get to mother, being a wife and a businesswoman can be difficult. You know, a lot of women feel like they have to sacrifice either their career or their relationship, or they, you know, the relationship suffers or the business suffers. So how have you been, or how do you manage to kind of balance those two and keep both sides, you know, in a healthy space?
I think, I want to say, I know this probably sounds cliche, but I really think I just got blessed a good hand in that regard, because I met my husband when I was in college.
Okay.
Before any of these dreams of doing any of these things ever existed. And a lot of what people see now and what's been achieved, it's been through a collaborative effort. So he's been there every step of the process. Even when I made my first product, like he used to make it and I used to market it. So I have a partner who is more ingrained in the business side of it too. So our struggles and our days become the same. Our conversations become the same. And when we find, well, it's never him, but whenever he sees me, like, you know, not being able to turn off when I come through this door, you know, remind me, like, do that tomorrow. And then I practice balance by knowing time and place.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm at work, I can give everything I got to my 8 to 5.
Yeah.
But when I come home and I come through the door, unless it's super pressing, I make sure that the bulk of my time isn't doing work here.
Okay.
And I think that's a practice that I've been doing. And I think as far as like balancing being a wife and work, it's been easy because my partner does the same thing.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time in your marriage that he has felt like he was not getting as much of you as he wanted, or vice versa?
I would say the best thing to do would be ask him. But if I would have to just think through it logically, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And I think that happens often in a lot of situations where you're building something so fast. But I think at the same time, he probably never burdened me with those feelings, because he could see the why of it all. And everything has its seasons. I was watching a quote from Obama before, and he said, you know, some people ask about balance and they say, you know, how do you balance it all? And he said, some seasons you just don't.
Yeah.
Some seasons I gotta give this one thing everything I got, because this is my window of time. And he talked about that being the case when he was running for president.
Right.
And I can only imagine how, like, being in that season, in that space, like, he couldn't fathom it. And like, even if Michelle felt like, oh, you know, I don't got my man right now. She also was like, I see the
Big
gravity
picture.
of this moment, so I'm gonna pocket that and make sure that that doesn't become our forever. And I think that's been our balance in our relationship.
How do you all, is there something that you do to always come back? Is there some type of, you know, thing that just belongs to you two that you do when you have been busy, you have been traveling, you have been, you know, Canvas has you on the road doing amazing photo shoots with Lala. What do you guys do to come back and make sure that you keep that beautiful connection that we see in all these pictures around the house?
I would say we like take like vacations and we like make vacations here.
Okay.
Like we do things that we used to do that we were in college. Like we made like wake up in the middle of the night like, hey, you wanna go walk down the driveway? And it's like, yeah, let's go walk down the driveway. And then that's like a bucket of time that feels nostalgic.
Yeah.
And it always brings you back to your why. So we do stuff like that.
That is weird, because anyone looking at the two of you, it feels very much like best friends and people that really know each other in a way that would explain you guys, you know, being together from college. So it's beautiful to watch that. I don't think you can fake that. You know, that's something that comes through. And you guys have a beautiful little boy. How has motherhood changed you as a woman? Like, what did motherhood, you know, do for you as a woman and even as an entrepreneur?
Oh, motherhood gave me like this different like sense of purpose. Like it was, when I had my son, I thought I couldn't have children. So I had to do IVF to bring him earthside. And it worked on the first try. So I'm so forever grateful for that. But it was like when you realize, even now when I look at him, I'm like, oh my God. Like this is a lot of responsibility that I'm proud to have. Like he told me one day, he was like, thank you, mommy. I said, thank me for what? He said, thank you for working for me and making me money. I said, oh my God, like how do you even know this? I said, do you know what I do? He said, yeah, you do TikTok. And he said, I want to do TikTok just like you. And it's like, you realize you're doing all these things, because sometimes I do feel a little guilty. I'm like, damn, I'm always working.
Yeah.
But those little moments to like let that fact that he can see what I do, and like even as a 4-year-old, like have that type of recognition about it. And he told me, he was like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, oh.
And he knows you're doing it for him.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes it all worth it. So for me, motherhood has just gave me a fire that I honestly have never had, and I've always been on fire.
Yeah.
Like I've always been like passionate about anything that I've done, but like making sure that he has a legacy and can live a life that I didn't, it drives me.
We got a chance to know a little bit about your
Why are you making me cry, girl? This is supposed to be a little interview. This was supposed to be all that. This was supposed to be a 1, 2, not 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you.
That's good stuff.
I joke a lot too, though. I'm back.
Okay, I got like one more question about family, and then we'll move to sisterhood.
I ain't got no sisters, so it's gonna be all right.
No, what about women that you mentor?
I don't want to block out some stuff.
All right, so looking at your, actually you guys just, it seems like you have the perfect family here. And I know nothing is perfect, but if I were to ask you, what was it about your husband that let you know that he would be the partner for you? Like, what is it about him that's very different than maybe some of the things you see other women going through? What is it that makes him the perfect fit for you with the lifestyle that you know, are chasing?
I would say I met Courtney when I was 19. So he's always been very like kind and very, very patient. Like he don't argue, like he don't do a lot of yelling, like he's like,
Ever?
it
Did get lucky.
No, that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, what the hell? Like he just don't do it. And I think even that, you know, I'm young, I'm like 24, you know, around that era, you know, you just be wanting to spaz out about anything. He'd be like, you can have it by yourself. And then it's just kind of like I always felt cared for.
Yeah.
Like I always felt loved. I always felt like safe. So that was the difference. And it wasn't, you know, when you're young, you meet guys and they always approach you on the same type shit. They'd always be on some.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that
Yeah.
at all. Like no pressure, just easy breezy and just so kind and caring and nurturing. And I just knew, I was like, I've never met anybody like that.
Yeah. How did you know at that age though? Because at that age, you can meet a kind, caring man and be like, I'm not really ready for that. You know what I mean? But for you to recognize that as opposed to some of the other flashy stuff, because when you say husband, like what makes him a great husband, those are amazing terms that not a lot of young women would recognize. So what do you think it was that made you recognize? Did you feel like you needed that?
I wouldn't say I feel like I needed it. I just felt like, you know, when somebody expands your mind in a way that you haven't before. So I grew up in a no-stoplight town. Like I grew up with people not chasing dreams, laughing at anybody who had an idea that was bigger than what they could think. And here he was, like this college student, you know, graduated and chasing his dream of like playing basketball in other countries. And I can vividly remember, like, you know, telling my parents about it, and even they were laughing like it was funny. And I'm like, he's going to the Philippines tomorrow. So, like, I always tell people, Courtney was one of the first people to help me believe that what was in my head could come to fruition.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. Now we're going to talk about just, you know, sisterhood, because National Women's Month, History Month, I think it gives us an opportunity right after Black History Month to think about some of the amazing women that we may have pulled from. Are there any, did you have any mentors? Were there any women in your life that you could pull from as an example, or were you kind of just freestyling it?
I was freestyling it. I can't express enough, like when you grow up in a no-stoplight town, it's very small and people only believe in what they've seen and nobody's seen a lot. Like you don't know what to think. Like for example, I knew I wanted to be a hairstylist, but back home it was frowned upon because it gave like help work. It wasn't anything to be proud of, you know. I'm just going to the hairdresser. But when I came to Huntsville and I was in a salon and I started to see, you know, women walk through the door and they were living much different lives than the lives that I seen women live. I saw women who own restaurants, they own racetracks. I saw them come through there in fellowship and they own stuff and they're not stressed about money. They're laughing. They're having a great time. And I was like, this exists. That was my first time knowing that like different classes or different type of ways of living were real. And seeing that is actually what motivated me to just keep going hard at whatever was in my mind. Because I was like, the stuff that everybody back home told me was not a thing. I'm looking at it be a thing.
So representation mattered in that point. I would say, how important is it, because I noticed that, you know, your publicist was showing me how you sell into other businesses. How important is it for you to make sure you support other female-owned businesses?
It's very important to me to make sure other female business owners are, I'm big on dreamers. Even if they don't want to own a business, like whatever is in your brain, like it's big on me to help anybody know that if it's in there, God put it there for a reason. And all you gotta do is believe enough and act on that belief enough before it can come to fruition. Like it's almost like, I feel like it's my portion, it's my responsibility to do that. So even like in life, if I'm going through something good or bad, I share it all. Because I feel like people who are trying to take their first step, they need to see it all. Because if they don't,
they won't see it.
They think, you know, oh, it's luck, or it wasn't perseverance. It was, you know, for them, not me. So I think it's just big for me to always live in my truth, show the good, show the bad, show the ugly, tell my story, and let people know that no matter what, like the makings of getting to where you want to go and your dreams is within you, because you already have it here.
I love it, and I think that's what makes you the perfect example for us for this year, is the fact that you are so dedicated and committed to being authentic, and to being an example that's not showing people a false, you know, pretense, but actually living in your truth and doing it on an everyday basis. So congratulations. And again, we're so excited to celebrate you this year.
Oh, it means a lot to me. This is really nice. You're a great interviewer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we are
Like
excited. You guys, stay tuned for more with Stormi. Lenox and Parker 2026 Woman of the Year, celebrating National Women's History Month and so much more. Stay tuned.